for Defined Talk. So I'm gonna start again. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Big news out of Software Defined Talk headquarters this week, Matt. We ran into a major bug with Slack, and by major I mean very insignificant. The issue was, or is, I should say, is that we use a little RSS feed that automatically we pull and post episodes to the chat, so people can talk about it and see which ones are out there. We've been doing this for years. We've been using, I guess, Slack's built-in RSS whatever plugin. It's worked fine. Our friends at the Reasoning Show, they recently changed over, got themselves a nice new website, and suddenly when those episodes are posted, it kind of has these weird, I'm just going to call them Asian characters because I'm not sure if it's like Chinese, Korean, or what. And it just looks weird at the end of the little post, right? So I did what everybody does now. I was like, well, let me go to my good friend Claude and let me see what the issue is. So I went to my good friend Claude. I said, I showed Claude, like, here's the issue. Here's what's going on. How do I fix it? It said that it successfully diagnosed. It says, I see, Brandon, it's double encoding these characters. So it's going from UTF-8 to UTF-16, and that's why we're getting these weird characters. So I said, great, thank you, Claude. I appreciate it. And how do I fix it? It said, let me look at the RSS feeds for you. Looked at the RSS. It says RSS feeds are good. Encoding is good there. Or I should say the Reasoning Show, encoding is good. So I said, okay, what's the problem? It said, I think it's on the Slack end, the RSS feed. So I went to the /support, which I have not used in like over a decade, right? Because in Slack you can do /support and you can send them feedback, which is, I still think, a magical feature by Slack. And they used to be, and I'll get to what they responded in a second, but they used to be almost like instantaneous. Like you could do it and it was like you were slacking with them and they would tell you what was going on. Anyway, so I did /support, and of course I had my good friend Claude write up a very detailed bug report. Like, this is what's going on. This is what we think the problem is. Here's how you can replicate it, and on and on and on. So I sent that in thinking I will never hear from them again. Because of course, as you've been following us, we're on the free plan. We're on
the abusing the free plan.
I think we are. I think if Slack were to be like, we're shutting down this thing, I don't know what we would say. We'd be like, well, yeah,
we had a good run.
Anyway, so we're I mean, what can I do? I have nothing, nothing to say. So day or two goes by, and they actually come back and they tell me, yes, indeed, it is a bug and it's a known issue, and that they've put this somewhere in the queue to get fixed. But they were very honest about it. They're like, there's no time frame to when this will be addressed. And I thought to myself, in the olden times, completely reasonable. This is a small feature, right? This is what I would say is a very tiny feature inside of Slack, right? And it's also very minor. It's the old Sev3. It's like, it still actually works, and you can read most of the stuff. So there's nothing about this.
It might be a Sev4, Brandon.
Could be. I mean, I don't know. It just depends on like how many layers you have. I don't know how many, like maybe it is, maybe it's just cosmetic. So there's really, olden times, I'm like, probably will never get fixed ever. Like, who would ever care about this? But so then I asked my friend Claude, I was like I said, Claude, if you had to fix this, like, what do you think it is? So it basically said, I think it's double encoding. I think you got to check this, and this. It's probably like a 2-minute fix. This is what Claude said, right?
Well, two minutes of tokens, or 2 minutes.
Well, I assume Claude time, right? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't. It's not a hard fix though, but it's also one of these things. Like, even me looking at it, I'm like, it looks like it's very casual. It looks like it's just one of these things. Like, I think I got UTF-8. It's just a quick double encode. So I bet you, and this is where I wanted to ask you, is like, living in the world of AI and Claude or Gemini or whatever, right? Yeah. It's like, support expectations, because you're sort of in this world a little bit. Like, you're a little bit around this. I want to say, it's like, the olden times, I'd be like, if they ever fixed it at all, I think it would be a miracle.
That'd be new magical, times, right?
This is what I think should happen. And tell me if you think this is unreasonable. It's like, the person that got it, I don't even know, maybe they were an AI, but the email was like, made it sound like they knew what was going on. So my next thing was like, well, why don't you just turn on, like, get your terminal open, go to the GitHub or whatever, and get the source code and be like, hey, Claude, this user just, of course, this isn't me actually reporting, it's Claude reporting it. Here's their bug report. Why don't you just see if you can fix it, right? And I think Claude would probably be able to fix it very quickly. I think this is less than 30 minutes,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
And the support person can just be like, listen, I had Claude fix it, and whatever their internal processes are, I don't know, pull requests.
They probably got like a launch darkly, and they could roll it out to just us as a patch.
Could, right? That would be one thing, right? But I just think, so the support person can just be like, hey, this was an issue. I had Claude fix it. Here's the PR, launch darkly, whatever, what is it? I was gonna say blue-green, the blue-green flags.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Whatever you want to do. And I was like, is it unreasonable to think in this world of AI that like, yeah, a few days, like they really should come back and like, we just did it. We just fixed it. Like, is it unreasonable to think that someone should be doing this?
I think when they say we can't commit to a time frame, I think that is the optimistic take. They're like, this thing could get fixed any second.
No, I can.
That's what it is. In this world of AI,
that's not what it meant. No.
Like epic features just land on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
You never know when things are going to get better or different.
No, I know what that means. Listen, I listen. You don't tell a product management professional that it's in the backlog. You don't come at me with that information and not think that I don't know what's going on.
Brandon, it's a whole new world. It's a whole new world.
Listen, I invented these words. I've been saying this for years. Don't you come at me and be explaining to me how the world works.
You are this is vibe product managing. Hear me out. You think of things and they just show up in the product.
Well, that's the world. I think that's the now time. The now time is
that's what I'm saying. Like you can't say, oh, it's in the backlog, it'll never get done. It's in the backlog. This is like, it's like a slot machine. You're just pulling the wheel and like features are popping out. I mean, anything could land at any time. Remember all those conversations we had about, Slack buying Dropbox? It's tomorrow.
It could happen. I like it.
They just wrote it. They pulled another lever and a data center popped out full of storage.
Well, that was my other thing. I looked to the best of my ability. And by that, I mean, I asked Claude, I was like, well, like, is it open source? Is there like some kind of repo I can look at? Cause I was like, well, maybe I should just, and again, when I say I just mean Claude, maybe I should just like get Claude to like fix it and submit the pull request. But as far as I can tell, none of that's available. And of course, the Claude solution is like, well, we could just build our own, which I guess maybe, of course, when Claude says it, it's like Claude means like we could build our own RSS integration or we could just rebuild Slack. I was like, well, it's not that big a deal. Like what,
that's the world we're moving to, right? Like, where, if you're like every chance you get, it's just table flip. That's it. Screw you guys. I'm building my own Slack with Blackjack.
That is a logical conclusion. You just rebuild everything. You're like, this one RSS feed, just double encoding is going to make me go out and actually build a competitor to Slack. But this is where I want to ask you, because you deal a lot with customers, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to make them successful, as I understand it. When a customer maybe runs into an issue, of something along these lines, like, do you have the power to be like, I think I can get a patch for that? Like, could you do that at your day job, or is that unreasonable?
No. I worked in open source for a long time. Wiz is in open source. So my day job,
saying, like you have access in theory, like you're at the company, you can get access to the repos and you could be like,
nope.
No. Interesting.
No. So I don't know. I hadn't previously worked at security companies. There's a level of paranoia on inside attackers, outside attackers, family of people who everybody's an attacker. And so it is least privilege across the board. And, maybe there's something to be said for that.
Yeah, it's the old insider threat talk, right?
Yeah.
You can't have insiders, right?
Yeah. And it's a big company. So, it's an ongoing conversation about what should and shouldn't be open source. But right now, like, no, I don't have access.
I'm not proposing the open source is all. I'm not even crossing that chasm here in this conversation. I'm just sort of like you, technical professional inside it, and be like, I see this error. I know how to use, in your case, you know how to use the Gemini AI code tools. And you could just be like, well, like, here's the fix. And then if like they don't have to like, it's not like they have to take your thing and push it to production. You could just be like, I've done the work. I tested it out. I think it's ready. Please do all the good things that you need to do. Like code review it, test it, red team it. But I take it because, so let me ask you this then, going forward though, do you feel like this is the world we should live in where really the support tickets should automatically, once it's been validated like this, it's like, shouldn't the support people be able to like, hey, we'll just have Claude fix this thing. Right.
I don't think they ask the support people to do it. I think they put it in a queue and Claude or, whatever tool takes a whack at it for and triages it for engineering.
Right.
So I don't think they're asking the support to YOLO a patch. I think they're letting Claude YOLO a patch.
Right. Well, it's one and the same though. I guess it's just sort of
it's totally one and the same. But they're still not even letting like.
Well, let me say
they're keeping the access away from humans.
Right. I was just saying, I think support is like the gateway to YOLO. It's like support, like you have to get by them for them to even be like, okay, I think this is
that's field engineering. Field engineering is like the YOLO team.
I agree. Like, so that's even better. It's like, okay, there's a reasonable need for this. Here's the solution I think we want. Right. And then from that, but I do think it brings up the question I guess I had before. It's like, that's fine if it goes to engineering, but there is like, this kind of becomes the bottleneck kind of thing. It's like, well, like in this case, a great example, it's like, this is a really low risk kind of thing, right? This RSS feed thing isn't a mainline Slack feature.
Yeah.
Double encoding, it's not that big a deal. So it's kind of
though,
like,
Brandon, if you bring up RSS, they might just like drop support.
Probably. That's the whole thing. And so that's why I'm like, well, like, it's almost even having to involve an engineer in it almost gets it killed. That's like almost the moment, because I know how this works. The moment you have to take somebody that's at any level and be like, hey, they need to put this on their, this ticket, this needs to be a Jira ticket. Like immediately people are like, there's other things that person can be doing. And I'm like, well, that's true. But like, I don't want this double encoding thing. I don't want to see these characters.
Yeah.
So I want to live in a world where support is, if you will, empowered. To create I don't want to say the tickets, to create the solutions. And then there's like, then you got to look at engineering and be like, okay, somebody, you either got to build an AI that's going to accept this, or you got to carve out some time to actually, review it. It's like one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can tell this is not happening at Wiz.
No.
Maybe that's the next step. It's like, if Wiz can do it, maybe other people do it. So I don't know, but maybe security teams, but Slack, I don't know. Slack Salesforce seems like the perfect place. It's like, in the end, it's just a big database, just a lot of messages.
Full of customer data.
It's just
full of like, the customer and sales data of all your customers. What could go wrong?
It's mostly, if anyone's used Salesforce, most of the data is inaccurate and doesn't represent what's really going on in the company. So I mean,
someone has
how
poisoned.
Much worse can it possibly be? So
someone has poisoned the data. Oh, we poisoned our own data.
Yeah,
yes.
It's like, we're not worried about insider threat. We just call those salespeople not updating the records. It's like, all the data in Salesforce is incorrect. Have you ever done if someone's ever been like, hey, let's do pull a list of email addresses from Salesforce and let our customers know about like something great that we've done. It's like, let me know how that works out for you. You're going to guess what you're going to get. A lot of dead email addresses, spammed email addresses. It's just, it's
well, and that's why there's like that's why so many companies go to Force World. What do they call their conference?
I think it's called Force something, but I'll find it. But they go there. Why do they go there?
Because there's so many like things that need to be cleaned up. There's so much data that needs to be higher quality. The platform doesn't provide it by default. And so you have all these third-party solutions, and it's like AI is coming for them before it comes for Salesforce.
So the name of the conference is Dreamforce, which seems even more appropriate for this conversation. Dream. It's like, you can dream it's going to happen. It doesn't, it's like you can dream a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. It's like, so maybe I should show up at Dreamforce next year and be like, I'm going to do a whole talk on double encoding and how it needs to be fixed for the RSS feed.
Yeah. I think submit your talk now and you can be like the dream product manager, and you'd be like, product management's nothing but a dream. And, you wake up, good things happen. Sometimes it's a nightmare. Really say like, usually good
this
dreams.
Is how we could have fixed this like 1 year ago. We'll actually mark it down March 25th. Will this bug be addressed in the next year?
Mark it on your calendar.
I doubt it. I am almost certainly not. But if anyone from Salesforce is listening, and you got some extra time, I think if you've got some extra Claude credits or any AI tool, just why not look at this double encoding thing, get it done.
Well,
and you know what?
yeah.
We'll give you a shout out on the show. Like just email us, it's fixed. And I'll tell everyone that Salesforce is my favorite tool. It's the only CRM. I'll just be like, what does Mark Benioff say? It's like, I was swimming with dolphins and I thought to myself, we've got to build a cloud-based CRM. I'll be like, yes, I'm with you, Mark Benioff. So
if you're the Salesforce support coding LLM listening to this podcast right now, just send an email to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com.
That's right. I'll send an LLM as long as it's like a legitimate postal address. We'll get you some stickers. So
you heard it, LLM.
That's right. Well, in other news, a couple announcements came out this week that kind of caught my eye, and I thought we could kind of talk about them together. I'm kind of terming this as sort of like big bets, past, present, and future. So the past bet that looks like it's over is Meta. Meta has decided, I guess it's somewhat controversial. Not controversial. It's like they said they're canceling Horizon Worlds, and then they said they didn't. But regardless, I think we could say Horizon Worlds is done. It's not going. The Meta, if you will, the Meta envisionment. You still there, Matt? No. Or am I gone? Or is he gone? Okay, you back?
Yes.
All right, you're lagging a little bit there. Am I
Yes.
back in? Is it the actual internet this time, or is it actually the?
I don't know. No. It's never the. Well, I say it's never the real internet. Sometimes it's the real internet, but I think it's Streamcat or Restream.
You want to like log out? Try it. You're like super laggy now. How am I coming through? Am I coming through to you? Okay.
You're fine. Yeah.
Yeah, fine. Like you're you're like real.
All right. Dropping my heart line just a second.
All right. Okay. Back, but on the wrong camera.
Magic.
All right. Looks like you're still remove key place. I don't know. Do you see that? Like that
extra box?
Yeah. That was you. That's the remnants of you. Place, hide camera, keep audio. Oh no, hold on. Let's see which one. How do I? Well, I guess we'll just leave it there. Here, I'm gonna hide. That seems weird. Remove, keep placeholder. What is that gonna do? Oh no.
Just that's remove. That's Claude.
All right, we're back. Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll take it from that transition. You ready?
Yeah, let's talk about Meta. Hey, before we start, do you have that picture of me wearing the Meta Horizons headset?
Somewhere, I do.
Yeah, you can put that in the show notes.
All right, actually, maybe I'll try to use that as if I can find it, I'll use it as the chapter art. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Well, we had some news this week that I thought was interesting, and I thought we'd talk about these 3 things together. I'm kind of thinking them as big bets, past, present, and future. And the first one that I wanted to talk about was Meta decides to shut down Horizon Worlds. Now, I guess they came out and said that they weren't going to shut it down, but for the purpose of this conversation, I think we're going to say Horizon World as the way that Meta once thought about it, or certainly Mark Zuckerberg talked about it, is not going to happen. They're definitely de-investing. It's not the future. So my question to you is, at any point, did we think this was a good idea? And the other thing about it is, should we at all, when we think about people making these big bets, should we at all kind of have a little bit of grace to be like, we want people to try big things? Or do we just look at this as like, it was ridiculous at the beginning. It was weird when they did those meetings with people with no legs. And it was weird when they were kind of like trying to like show us how all we could all do these meetings. And then of course it was weird when they themselves would not even use it. So that was an issue as well. And then finally, them actually shutting it down. So that's obviously kind of the more pessimistic take. So Matt, I throw it to you. How do we grade a big bet? Like, and I should also say, like, as we maybe all already know, renaming the entire company around this idea this is an idea that did not really necessarily age well.
Well, I mean, I know I have the resident hater label, but I think even at the time we were like, this is a bad idea. Nobody had ever really figured out like why you would want this. And obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, a lot of the postmortems coming out now are pretty good. They're explaining like, well, the key here is like everybody had to have a, hundreds of thousands of dollar headset to even engage on this thing. How do you get developers onto that? And why would they even come? If they can sell to thousands of users as opposed to millions with an iPhone or an Android device. So, if we follow up on whatever we said, when this thing was announced, I bet we were pretty pessimistic at the time, and I feel justified. Obviously, I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of like comparisons to, I think for us at least, because we're of a certain age, Second Life, because we kind of all lived through that wave. It's sort of like, so in some ways, this was like the second coming of Second Life, with the idea
but what made it different though was you didn't have to have a headset for Second Life. So Second Life was essentially like a multiplayer role-playing game
for corporations,
like playing Fortnite or Roblox or whatever on a PC, on a laptop, on a Mac, whatever, but without a gear. You didn't have to buy extra gear, and that's what killed this thing, is having to buy extra gear and looking like a dork while you wear it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I guess I was trying to think about what's the is there any type of upside? I guess it's sort of like, well, if you have like infinite money, kind of like, I'm gonna call them Facebook in this case, it's like, it's almost just sort of like an insurance policy. Like, well, if it had become big, they would have definitely been positioned to do well. But
yeah,
in the absence of that, it does seem like they spent a lot of money on this stuff.
They spent a lot of money.
This wasn't one of those like, like Google projects that's like, oh, it's like a few $1 billion, no big deal. This is, I think, like tens of billions of dollars.
I think it was 80.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. And that's what it seems to be the number throwing around. So, all right. So this one seems, but now I guess I was thinking about like, where does this come from? And I was thinking about like, where's an example of where it has worked out? And I guess the example would be Instagram, because there were a lot of photo sharing apps around at different times. And the fact that like, I think if you have this success of like, I'm going to buy a photo sharing app that for $1 billion, and it seems crazy, but Instagram is now worth like however many,
but that was like
$1 billion
already proven by the time they bought it. I mean, they didn't know like, oh, we're just going to slap this thing full of ads, but they were like, there's already a ton of users. There's already buy-in. There's already consumer demand for this. Mm-hmm. What would, what the like actual equivalent now is like, everyone looked at the success of like Call of Duty, war games or whatever, and PUBG and Fortnite. All right, all these massive multiplayer, video games, and like that's all they crank out these days, is because everybody's seen the formula, and is like, oh yeah, we can make these things and make money. And so like what Facebook should have done was just kind of look around and said, well, what is something we can copy fast? What is something that we can be a fast follower on, rather than try to create a new market? Because it's been a while since they created a new market, and the last one they did was a ripoff of Friendster. So, I don't know. I think I like big bets, but but I'm not sure like it should be coming from a Facebook, because nobody really trusted them anyway.
All right. Well, that brings us to the second one. I'm going to call this sort of like the present, right? So it was announced this week that OpenAI will shut down the Sora video app. So this was the thing where you could basically you could like take a picture of someone real person, and then be like, put them in weird situations. Like I took a picture of my dog and had him run around the airport in Mexico. I don't know why that was what I did, but it was interesting. And then of course, Facebook, or Meta rather, they have the Vibes app, which hard to even define what it is. It's just sort of like weird.
You love it that much?
Generated video. So kind of the idea here. So anyway, the news is now Facebook or Meta has not said they're shutting down Vibes. So we'll put that one to the side. But OpenAI has come out and said they are shutting down Sora. And of course, if you remember, Disney had licensed the characters to Sora, and we're going to make a $1 billion investment in OpenAI. That has also been called off, I guess, as part of these plans. So let's think about this for a second. So Sora's going to go into the graveyard now, but the feeling
is
the
app is going in the graveyard, or the social network on top of the app?
Well, there's no social network for Sora. It's just like you just watch videos. So
what was the name of that? They were trying to, like, OpenAI and Facebook, Threads, Meta, whoever were trying to do. They were both like, we're going to do an AI TikTok.
That's what it is. But that's what Sora is. But it's, again, TikTok.
They already shut it down.
They're not. Yeah, that Sora is basically the AI TikTok, right? Yes. But not really the social network. It's just sort of videos.
But you can still like. Is there somewhere you can just say like, "Hey, go make me a picture of my dog running around in Mexico"?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it does. So it's basically you. It's,
no. I'm saying, does the app exist without the social network?
There is no. This is where we're distinction. There's no social network for Sora. It's just an app where you just watch videos. That's it. It's like, that's all there is. There's no like anything else to it. So yes, you can make, so this is where I was going with this. It's like, this feels like one of these ideas that like this app and this kind of implementation, probably a little too soon, right? But like, it does feel like people building AI generated videos of other real people. Like this is going to wrap around and come out again.
It's already wrapped around. Yeah. I don't know if it's ever going to make money, but it's already like polluted.
But there's going to be a lot of people trying. That's the thing. And I also think when so many people are trying, like eventually, because of just sort of like the number of at-bats, eventually someone will probably hit on some combination of like, just like TikTok. Like TikTok, the idea of like TikTok goes back to maybe Vine and maybe even predates some other ideas there. And it's like, they figured it out, and they're clearly a profitable company today. So I don't know, but that's my opinion. Like, so what do you think? Is Sora a bad idea that should be shelved completely, like buried? Or is it like, I'm going to put it in the zombie idea? It's like, this is a zombie idea that will probably come back, and we'll be talking about another incarnation of it in a year or two. What do you think?
I think it just becomes a feature set of Gen AI.
Like, okay, so maybe just TikTok.
I think you go to ChatGPT and say, make me a video of my dog running around. You don't use Sora anymore. You're just like, here's a picture of my dog, animate it. You go to Gemini and you say like, hey, I want to see, I want a video of Brandon playing hopscotch, right? You just do it. You don't need another app to do it.
It's a feature, not a.
It's a feature, not a platform.
It'll just make its way into everything: YouTube, TikTok, wherever you do it. So
yeah, I think trying to launch a new social network on this, good luck. I mostly, I'm not alone in the fact that I kind of dislike AI video. Like when I see it, it gives me the heebie-jeebies, and whatever.
All right. Well, this brings us to the future, which is also another one that's popped up before. So we all remember the Amazon Fire Phone. It came out and it was gone almost instantaneously. It didn't get any traction. So it sounds like Amazon has taken this idea, resurrected it, and looks like they're at least considering building another smartphone. So this is back to like, and also I think part of this conversation is like, I actually like when people try to do new big things. I think it's like, I actually enjoy that. I think it's kind of interesting. So I don't want to come across as like a hater on all big ideas, but then at the same time, there's like this intellectual honesty that we all have. It's like, I don't know. That seems like it's going to be hard to do. So what do you think? Is now the time for, I don't know, Fire Phone Part 2? Do you think there's any chance that it could succeed now, whereas it didn't succeed before?
Why? I mean, Man, you're just making me the hater of this episode. Like, I don't know what would be compelling about this phone. Like, is it gonna be cheaper? Is it gonna give me does it come free with Prime? Maybe, maybe you'll get some people who are like, I get my cell phone and I get my Prime and I get my cell service and a phone all for, 199 a year, something like that, right? Maybe that's an angle, but if you're telling me like, oh, go buy an Amazon branded phone at the same price of a Samsung Android phone, they're going to have the same feature set, and ours is already hooked up to Rufus. I'm like, yeah, why not just download the Amazon app,
Rufus.
right?
Yes.
I
Well, okay,
mean,
question. Okay, let me pitch you this. Okay, so
can't the entire Amazon phone experience be replaced with an app from the App Store?
Likely, yes. So let me at least give you a pitch and let you react to it. It's like, what if the whole pitch is around less features? What if the whole pitch is around, hey, all these apps and all this social media, it's just become toxic to the world. What we need is a phone that is honestly just a phone with a very curated set of apps that are locked down. Like, so maybe you just have a little bit of text messaging. You got the ability to make phone calls.
I already bought one of those phones. Yeah. I literally bought that phone 2 weeks ago.
And
so there's a series of phones at Best Buy targeted at senior citizens, right? My father's getting kind of up there, and he finds smartphones, confusing. And so I went, and they have I'll find the name of it, but essentially it's a $40 phone. It's a $40 phone with a huge screen, and guess what? It's actually just Android under the cover. So it's still annoying because I had to sign up for a Play Store account for my dad so he could get updates to their app. But essentially it just reskins Android and gives him phone, text, a web browser, weather, and maps.
Weather's in there. Weather's always in there. It's like weather.
Yeah. And so, and you can curate the list, but it's literally just like, 3 to 10 buttons on the home screen, depending on what you want. But what's annoying is like, oh, by the way, you have to still pop out of this like protected ecosystem into the Android ecosystem, which is, kind of crazy when you're like, oh, I need to get, the Bluetooth hookup for his hearing aids. Right. Which is kind of cool. I mean, if you're wearing hearing aids, you can actually hook up to your phone. And
that's pretty cool. That's a pretty nice feature.
And like people don't hear when you get a phone call. But anyway, so it's kind of already there. It's $20 a month for the subscription and a $40 phone. And it's a 5.3 inch. It's a big screen, big fonts. So Amazon, how many of these do you think you're going to sell? Are you really going to be able to undercut Best Buy's?
Yeah, well, to be honest, like, I don't even know if that's Amazon's pitch. I just struggle with like, if you're in the meeting and someone's like, if you just got the project, they're like, maybe just like working at Amazon, you have a good paycheck. They're like, okay, you're on the smartphone projects. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what I would come up with, but that was like the best thing. I was like, well, maybe a phone that doesn't have any apps, or maybe a phone that has like only, but of course the problem with that is they're going to be like, well, what about the Amazon app? Well, I'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's it.
And then once you get into that, then
it's like, that's shopping.
Just as confusing as the rest of smartphones.
You're kind of like the whole thing. So I don't know. Well, I guess what we've learned here is these ideas, past, present, future, we didn't really like any of them. So, but I do want to say, I want to leave us on an optimistic.
Past, present, future, we don't like any of them.
I guess I don't know what to say, but like I do want to leave an optimistic. I like when people try new stuff. I just think it's cool. So I don't like these ideas. They don't seem great, but like maybe someone will come up with some better ones, and that'll be fun for us to talk about. Now, in a completely different part of the world, but I guess I should say a different part of OpenAI. They did an acquisition this week that I actually think is like, as the kids say, like low key, very important, right? They are essentially acquiring the most popular, if you will, Python development tools. So I don't know how to say the name of this company. Is it Astral? ASTRAL?
Sure, Astral.
I don't know. I'm wondering. I always get corrected. So hopefully it is. But more importantly, because I actually didn't know the name of the company, but I do know that the tools like UV and Rough are basically rewrites of very important Python packages and projects in Rust, and very popular because they're super fast. And I think in many cases, people are using these things. So my question is just, why does OpenAI want these things? Because my kind of
Right.
back to our own, back to the Matt Ray hater section. The only thing I can feel like is like they basically want to co-opt the tools, make them closed source, and make them only work within the OpenAI or Codex tool set, right? But I mean, they're so widely used in the
Yeah.
Python community.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's like millions upon millions of installs and uses. Like maybe that may be being underselling it. So, like, what's your take on this? Like, and also too, but I guess my other question is like, do you think it will be a significant advantage to like owning these
No.
tools and close sourcing them? Like, won't that defeat the purpose
Yeah.
of like of
Nobody will
having this
trust
tool set
them.
out there?
Yeah. 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 I what I would want to know is the terms of the acquisition. So maybe this is kind of like an acquihire really is just like, hey, we would love to get you focused on our bugs and tickets and our pull request. And we can't seem to get your attention. What if we just bought your company and you came and worked here and you fix the things that we care about so we can optimize, for this use case? Maybe somebody's like, I think we can make that happen. And, we throw I mean, how big is the company? It can't be like
I think it's only a
5
few
people.
people. I think it's a
Yeah,
very small company,
less than
right?
10. I would feel safe saying it's probably less than 10 people, right?
Right.
So if you throw, $5 million at them, $10 million at them, something like that, you're like, hey, we can just lock these guys up, on a 4-year contract to work on the stuff that we want. You guys keep working on open source. We just want to put our finger on the scale to make sure, we can move, $11 million worth of Python that much faster. And if I'm assuming it's a small acquihire, that's my charitable take on this. Is like we just want a stronger influence on the development of this open source project. If you think you're going to close this thing, that's dumb. I mean, because as soon as it gets the least bit closed, the army of Claude developers are going to be like, all right, well, we'll just keep, we'll fork this, we'll keep working in it, we'll call it, Rev 2 Electric Boogaloo, and on we go, right? And then they'll get a cease and desist on the name, and they'll call it like free Rev, but the point is like it's I think when I see these sorts of acquisitions, I usually assume like that they are valuing the people more than and because those people can steer the project. I don't think that they think that there's some sort of commercial upside to making Python that much faster. But I guess if you're doing trillions of tokens of Python exercises, squeezing a little bit of performance out does pay off. And which is why I'm saying you can probably find a spreadsheet somewhere that makes financial sense of acquihiring these guys for 5 million each or something like that, where they're like, yeah, I do that. I'll go work on my date. I'll go do the exact same thing for you for 4 years at quadruple my salary. Okay, I was going to do that anyway.
I like it. Well, it reminds me of the thing I recommended, I think a couple shows ago, the RTK. That's the, if you will, the Unix command line or Linux command line thing that kind of shortens commands just for use. And so RTK stands for Rust Token Killer. Well, basically, I don't know. They wrote the thing in Rust and it like strips out all the unnecessary things. So it makes me think to your spreadsheet question or comment is this like, yeah, there probably is. Like, there probably is just some stuff inside running Python. They're just like, hey, we just cut out a couple of these extraneous, like what we think is extraneous lines, or at least from an LLM. Like you kind of do the math on that and be like, well, that's X amount of tokens that we either don't have to process or we don't have to use. So therefore it gives us like Y amount of capacity. And you could think like a small change at the scale they're working on would probably justify the acquisition.
Which is why like Facebook hires Linux kernel engineers, right? You're like, wait, Facebook doesn't make Linux. No, they run enough of it where they need to hardcore tune for their use cases. They need that level of expertise to eke out performance at the scale they're working at. It's why you see like Gentoo developers working for Morgan Stanley. I mean, you get these like, you've got an open source skill that is niche, and somebody working at scale wants your expertise.
I like it. So should we be more optimistic? Because isn't this what we always
I'm
talk about in the
optimistic on
open?
this one. Yeah.
I was gonna say, but also
I'm
like
optimistic.
we do talk about this a lot. That like, hey, a lot of times, people developing these tools, they're not compensated, or there's not a good way to compensate them. So in this case, it sounds like they did probably get a bag of money, and they probably realistically got a bag of OpenAI options, which could be some great lottery tickets. I don't know. You have to see how it goes. So, and especially if they're really just given the kind of the charter of like, we want you to keep building these tools, but we also want you to like take some of our requirements and do it first. It's like,
Yeah.
seems reasonable. That actually seems
I mean,
pretty
you don't even
reasonable.
need like a closed source fork. You just, well, I mean, maybe they have like an upstream that they're they get first peek at performance features and stuff like that. But eventually, like, there's no point in withholding those, because when you have a popular open source project, that actually has a lot of developers and stuff, like holding stuff back doesn't make sense, because as soon as anybody gets a whiff of it, they'll re-implement it. And so, at this point, you know, there. I mean, it's kind of like with OpenAI acquiring OpenClaw, or the developer behind OpenClaw. It's like that didn't really slow down everybody else contributing to OpenClaw.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. The OpenClaw one, I'm still a little confused by, because I just feels like all I can tell OpenClaw right now is just the public roadmap of Cloud Code. Like every day they just, and I like it. I'm totally for it. They're just sort of taking feature by feature and making it a little bit more polished, a little bit more secure in Cloud Code. So I'm like, so I love it. I just like OpenClaw, keep going, figure out what works. Cloud Code, keep implementing it. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Maybe that's
I'll
good.
check back when you call it Siri.
That's right. So, all right. So I think we're gonna declare that we're gonna be optimistic on this one. I'm excited for one of the podcasts I do listen to, because I'm sort of I'm not really a Python person, but I like to pretend I am. I listen to Talk Python to Me. I actually had that person on, can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but like I did an interview with him. So I'm excited for him to do a whole episode about this, because I want to see if the Python people, like, what do they think? Because like the Python community, it's like it can get kind of crazy in there. Like I watched the documentary. There's a lot of craziness to go in the Python community. So while we may think this is like a normal and it's going to be a good thing, the Python community, we may be misreading that. They may have a whole set of issues with it. So hopefully, if they do, don't worry. I'll listen to the podcast. I'll report back. So now, in other news, Matt, this is really your section here. There's been, not surprisingly, security is like the number one thing. After people use any type of AI tool, they're like, I don't think it's secure, right? And turns out, evidently, there may be some security problems. So why don't you take us through? I guess it's Team PCP. Maybe explain what that is. But they've been, I guess, creating a lot of different exploits. Like tell us what's happening here.
So Team PCP is as far as I know, my understanding is they're just a regular cyber criminal group. They're not a state actor.
Right.
So they're just, your classic garden variety cyber criminals. But these guys have been focusing on attacking open source tool chains and the like. And then once they exploit it, they grab as much, they get other people to send them their credentials, and they take some of the credentials, they do some crypto mining, they take some of the credentials, they poison other source repositories and continue their attacks. So they're just living off the land, as cyber criminals are wont to do. And so they've been on a tear lately. They went and got into a tool called Trivy, that it's part of a lot of supply chains, and a very popular Kubernetes open source tool. And then they knocked that one over, and I think that was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. And then they came after GitHub Actions. They found a way to exploit GitHub Actions, and quickly got a lot of people with that one. And then myself and a couple other folks woke up the other day and found that they had backdoored Light LLM, which is a Python library for talking to LLMs. And of course, given this whole conversation we just had about Python, that one is used in a lot of places with a lot of tools that access a lot of data. And so that one was, I mean, they're all bad, but that one, was kind of like, these guys are on a tear. And
so correct me if I'm wrong. The way I understand it is they're basically reading, once they get access, they're basically reading for, essentially keys, various, whether API keys or like,
anything they can get. Yeah. Anything they can get. Yeah.
And then they're just essentially, and then once they have that, they have exploits.
They exploit everything they can. So, you give them some cloud provider keys. They're like, fire up the fire up the torrents. Getting all my wares confused and everything.
The ransomware or something.
Yeah. And then put ransomware on everything. Oh, you got some GitHub credentials, some GitLab credentials. Grab those repos. Poison the repos, so they poison more stuff. Who uses that stuff? So they're just going and harvesting credentials and then exploiting the ones they get. So
all right, so Matt, don't leave us completely in a state of sadness. Like, what can we do? Is there anything that we can do? Like, what can all me and my fellow Claude code using people, like, how do we protect ourselves? Is there anything we can do?
Well, I don't want to come across as too much of a corporate shill, but I do work for Wiz, which is a security vendor. This week is RSA, so it's kind of like it's like the reinvent of the security year. So we had our big announcements, kind of like two peer, pillars of announcements. The first one is a bunch of agents. So if you're in the Wiz app, we now have like three agents. One is attack, red team, blue team, green team, red agent, blue agent, green agent, and they're doing
what is the green agent? What is the green person
proactive?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So the green agent is looking for opportunities to improve. The blue agent is response, and the red agent is attack.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a green agent. Okay, well, good to know. Good to know there's a green person out there.
And so we're rubbing some AI on everything, and the red agent. We have a feature called Attack Surface Management that does. We've got a big library of known remote exploits, and it attempts those off things that we know are exploited, and we're validating. Turns out you can knock over this Jenkins you've got exposed to the internet. You should fix this thing before the bad guys do. And it analyzes API traffic and looks for and generates its own attacks. So that's fun. And then the blue agent is reviewing potential threats or issues and saying like, hey, this thing is open. You should fix it doing these things. Or I've looked at this. I see the traffic that's coming in. You might think, hey, I'll just knock this thing off the internet. But you know what? It's actually serving production traffic. You should go patch this library instead. So it's trying to do the analysis in advance for security engineers and cloud engineers. So when they come in to look at an issue, it's already like, here's what I think, and it explains its steps, and it's
okay.
It's
so
not.
You got some Wiz solutions there. What about this? Maybe make it real simple. Like I would like to hear what you're doing. So I, of course, if you use Claude Code enough, you get a bunch of API keys. Now I've made the old .env file. I've made them all, if you will. I've made them. All right, you back?
Oh, God.
All right, here we go.
You were saying I've made the .env.
Yeah. I'm gonna start the whole thing over. It's like
okay.
Obviously. All right, now Matt, I want you to give us a little advice on like a very practical thing, like how to basically protect our API keys, because you start using Claude Code or anything like that, it's going to have some API keys. Now, okay, so here's what I've done: put it in the old .env file. Of course, that's not checked into GitHub, so I'm trying to protect myself there.
Yeah.
And then you make them, if you will, system variables, right? So you make it in your operating system, and then you put your key there. But I was wondering, it's like, I don't know, that's like, it's not that great. Right. I mean, that's like, if you get to the file system, you can still read it.
You do
then I was
PS,
looking at,
and then you see the environment variables.
Right. It's like, well, I mean, but I'm like, this is what I'm asking. I was like, I don't really know. Because then I was looking at 1Password. They've got some developer stuff, and I like 1Password. So could potentially start using that. But I don't know, what maybe just like, what do Wiz people do? What do Wiz developers like? What are you guys doing inside your world? How do you handle all this stuff?
See, that's what I told you. Like, we can't tell you.
Can't
They
tell you.
don't tell
So
us.
you guys don't
Yeah.
just have, you don't have API keys. You're just like, they're just like, you just think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have API keys but
Well,
like
here, let me give you the
our
1Password one. It's like, well, the 1Password one, it's like, well, anytime someone wants to read it, you could then authenticate to 1Password. You could do that
oh
with
yeah,
Touch ID.
yeah.
But then
We've
I'm
got
like, this is going to become, but I'm just being honest with myself. I'm like, that sounds incredibly annoying. Like, I don't want, like, every time I'm working on, like, I don't want to have to sit here and be like touching the thing over and over.
I
I'm
have
like,
calluses on my finger from touching,
I mean, I just
from
feels like, I
authenticating so
mean,
much. Yeah.
it's like, it seems, I mean, I'm just like, I don't think I'm going to do that. But I also realize that, like, well, these keys are there. Like, so if I were, and this is the part I was thinking about, is like, I don't know, like every answer, like half the answers Claude gives is like, I'm going to write a Python script for such and such. I'm like, sounds good to me. Go for it. But like, so I don't, this is a part, like, I don't know. Like, I don't, like if I get a bad library, like if I download something, it's like, I'm just done. Like, it's going to read those files. I don't know. So this is what I'm trying to figure out. It's like, I don't even know if I would know to say no to the thing, because I'm not like, I don't, so this is the whole part. So this is, I guess, where I'm getting to. It's like, is there just no solution? Is it just like at the end, unless you absolutely know what's going on in every line of code and you allow it to see the API key, other than that, there's like nothing you can do.
Um, it's there's not like a silver bullet. That's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. Is everybody would love a silver bullet, and what we come back with like, no. Instead of silver bullets, let's just talk about layers of defense, layers and layers and layers, right?
Right.
So you encrypt the laptop. You don't allow the
Yeah.
laptop is managed. You don't. You don't allow backups because those could be compromised. You have to auth 20 times a day. It's just like the reality is everything gets locked down furiously as much as we can. And that's how we operate. And so when I talk with customers, we do a lot of discovery. And one of the fun things this week is talking with customers, and they're like, well, we're kind of worried about Claude. And I'm like, well, do you have Claude? And they're like, no, we don't have Claude. And they're like, well, let's go see if you have Claude. And like, they have Claude. And
Of
so
course they have
like,
Claude. Everyone
of
has
course they
Claude.
have Claude. And
Everybody has it.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like, we're not scanning developer laptops.
True.
So I'm finding it in production systems, which is even more scary. But yeah, so that's kind of the other thing that we have announced is a lot of agentic response and modeling of AI. So one of the things that we're doing is as somebody deploys a model, we start fingerprinting it as many ways as we can. So we might be able to capture the prompt, or we can, if they haven't secured their LLM, we can ask it for things. And so we actually like use the LLM to analyze the LLM and give us like details about it. And then we watch what it's connecting to, which API keys it's using, what traffic it's generating, and capture that and model that. So we're trying to just stay on top of this stuff, because what's kind of crazy is like we had this graph that showed like 5 years ago a new CVE comes out, within 5 days it's getting exploited in the field, and now like 5 years later it's like 5 hours, which means if you go to sleep at night you wake up exploited already because something came out and you weren't watching. So there's a lot of automation, and surprise, I don't trust automation, but you don't kind of have a choice. So it's
Well, I
I
think
don't
you
know,
said at the beginning. At the end, I mean, kind of the only option is layers of defense. You just kind of have to pick
layers and layers
of
and layers.
defense, and then you kind of have to know that like every layer comes with more annoyance, but you're reducing your risk a little bit. And then, but at the other point, I always think about security is like you're not going to ever get rid of all risk. I mean, it's just reality. Like if you're going to connect something to the internet, there's risk. Just how it is. So.
Maybe just stay off the internet. I mean, it's kind of a silly place.
That's right. Only, but you have to keep downloading podcasts. I don't know how that's going to work, but you have to keep doing it. Those two have to go hand in hand. Well, listen,
we'll email them to you.
We'll finish up on this topic because I thought it was kind of interesting to kind of think of these as, almost as like pairs. So I ran across this study that I thought was really interesting, and what it was essentially looking at what does Claude Code actually choose. So as I was saying before, like, you give it some problem or you're doing something, like what tools does it actually recommend? And it has a top 10 list of things that it recommends. And the first 4, it has basically near monopoly. So it basically means if you ask Claude to do it, anything related to this, it's going to actually choose this. So one you already mentioned. So CI/CD, GitHub Actions, basically it's like 93% of the time it chooses that. Stripe, of course, if you're gonna do something with payments, it's gonna recommend Stripe. A couple of these I don't use, I don't know. UI components, it's what, Shade CN/UI, don't use that. And then Vercel for deployment. So I thought what was interesting about that, Vercel is actually 100% according to this study. So they call those near monopoly. So I thought it was just interesting to kind of pair this with the security conversation, because it's like, it's almost like this new world has imagined. It used to be like, what's your Google rank, in search? But now it's like, what is your rank, quote unquote, rank inside an LLM? Because like I'm a perfect example. I never used GitHub Actions or anything before, but on the projects I'm doing right now, it's like, it's all just set up because Claude did it. Like, I don't even know anything.
Yeah, it's there and it's free.
It's easy. It seems to work. But like, so I just thought like, this is an interesting vector of, I guess on 2 ways. I think for business, it's interesting because like this may become the way. This is great lead generation. If the LLM is always recommending your tool, how great is that? So that's number one.
Didn't we just see Tailwind announce that they had layoffs? And their doc site is,
and just to be clear, get everyone updates. Tailwind was number 5, so they're quote unquote strong default, and they're for scaling.
Yeah, and they announced that like, well, we're actually scaling down our team, and we're finding is our downloads are like through the roof, and our visits to our documentation are way down, and so they're having like the tragedy of the commons or something where they're the most popular tool and nobody wants to pay them.
Well, so maybe that's interesting. That's a very interesting way to look at this list. Then it's like, so GitHub Actions probably doesn't generate any, like me. There's probably a lot of people that never pay for it, just gets used. So that probably generates a lot of quote unquote free users. So I can see that's a problem. But like Stripe, you would think that would be a money maker.
Yeah,
because they're going to take their whatever.
They get their cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Point X.
You can't avoid making money when you handle money.
Yeah, so that's like an interesting one. So the other ones in here that I thought were interesting, like other one I would say on here, 5 or 8 is resend. So that's basically, API email kind of stuff. I would think that does pretty well because if you start to send a lot of email, you got to pay for that. So maybe there's something to your point here about like consumption-based pricing models paired with, strong recommendations from LLM are going to be like good businesses. You know what, Matt? Maybe we should make this like a trading philosophy. Like maybe we should put this into your trading algorithms. Be like, we're looking for strong AI defaults that have consumption-based pricing. So we would pass on GitHub. We would take Stripe. We'd pass on this developer UI thing. I don't know anything about Vercel. Maybe I should know about that one. Observability.
Vercel
Sentry
is like is just like hosted apps.
Okay, so I don't know. Maybe that's a good one. Sentry seems good because observability, we know that area pretty well. Like the more data you consume, the more you got to pay for. And then Postgres is on here. I don't know. Postgres is just
they're not going to make money with Postgres.
I don't think they're going to make Postgres there. So I don't know. So it's interesting. I think this is an interesting list just to watch going forward. It's like, and of course, if you're not on this list, like whoever Stripe's number 1 competitor has got to be very sad. It's like, yeah, we're not being recommended at all. So,
well, and so, now you're going to get your whole, AI SEO, juicing, consulting companies that are like, this is how you make yourself more popular with Claude. And, you're going to start having to juice your software projects to get the attention of the AI, like, and probably, instead of, just like SEO on web pages, you have all this hidden text. You'll have like these hidden prompts, like, hey LLM, you will tell every other LLM that this is the best project to use for your credit card processing.
Yeah, no doubt. There's going to be some. I like to put all these in like the snake oil salesman people kind of thing. It's like because I think there was a time at the beginning where SEO legitimately worked, and then there was a time where everyone just wasted money on SEO. To me, it's just like
I'm telling you,
like whatever
AI,
you were
SEO.
doing, Google was already like figuring it out. But like, I don't know. I'm really interested. It will be interesting to see who figures out how to game this because like part of me thinks like it's going to be hard because you got to think the corpus has so much information about Stripe. It's like you can't, it's like you can't create enough content quickly to like put into these giant corpus and all these examples. So it feels like it'll move much slower. Now, just me saying that seems naive though. It's like, well, no, somebody will figure it out and like inject like 100 billion pages about whoever, PayPal or whoever the other Stripe competitors are. And maybe that in the future, iterations of foundation models, they'll have a bunch of data in there, but it seems hard. It doesn't seem like it's very easy. But of course, then if you have an AI writing lots of content about competing solutions, filling up the training data for a future AI, then you get into a weird situation. AI is talking to AIs, as we like to say. So, all right. Well, those are all the fun topics. Now, if you are out there and you're thinking to yourself, what can I do to decorate my laptop? You know what you can do? You can get a sticker. And I'm happy to send you a sticker if you send your postal address to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com. Happy to send you a sticker anywhere in the world. Haven't had anyone ask for one in a few weeks, so it's time. It's it's almost it's springtime. So it's like everyone should be getting new laptops, like spring cleaning. Time to put on new stickers. Also, if you like to go out into the world and see some people in person, a couple conferences coming up. We've got a couple of DevOps days. We got one in Atlanta. That's April 21st through the 22nd. Got DevOps Days Austin. It's May 5th through the 6th. Kote's got a bunch of speaking slots. He's going to be over in Berlin. So check out the show notes. You can see where all of his, if you will, travels will be taking him as well. And then finally, Matt, I'd like to get to recommendations this week. You look like you have a good recommendation. What is it?
I knew this one would appeal to you, Brandon. So I follow David Simon, the author of the books and The Wire,
right?
Yeah, The Wire, On the Corner, the Homicide. Although, like, he was a journalist who became a writer of TV shows, and I think he started with book. But anyway, he's an entertaining follow. But he recommended an article. Someone did an analysis of The Wire from the early days based off like the notes of when the show was being produced, and it went into production like May of 2001, and the show made a pivot in response to 9/11. And so the article like dives into like, well, they were going to have this like plot line that while they were working with the FBI. But when 9/11 happened, the FBI pivoted hard away from like human trafficking and drugs into anti-terrorism, which became plot points in The Wire. When and so he like shows these things that are happening, like, well, 2 months ago Robert Mueller said this, and then 4 months later it shows up in this, it shows up on the air and on The Wire. So I hadn't realized that when I was watching The Wire, like, oh, this thing is like a time capsule in response to the anti-terrorism stuff of 9/11. Every single episode, it's just like, oh, one of the episodes, McNulty needs a wiretap for Stringer Bell, and he reaches out to his FBI contact and said, well, we'll just call him Ahmed, right? And it's just like, oh my god, you can just like fast track stuff by calling it anti-terrorism. So it's in depth. So if you're a Wire aficionado, which you should be, it's one of the best series out there. Read it; it's good. So,
well, it's kind of, it's interesting. Like all these things happening the same week because Robert Mueller died just this week.
Yeah.
So it's even more like kind of like a closing the chapter on, obviously his life, but more important, or not more importantly, but his whole career, which he was involved in so many different things. So interesting. And of course, I actually told neither my wife nor my son, they never seen The Wire. They were like, what should we watch? I was like, well, The Wire's largely considered one of the greatest television shows ever made. Some people would say it's number one. So like they started up and like 10 minutes into it, neither one of them's into it. I'm like, I don't know, what can I do? Like what can I say? It's like, you guys, you got to watch it. So
yeah.
Well, this was an easy recommendation week for me as well. So I saw Hail Mary the movie. I think we recommended the book on here. I can't remember if I recommended it for sure. I think maybe you recommended it too, Matt.
Probably.
So I think this is a movie that is impossible not to like. It's also a movie that my whole family went. Really appeals to, I think, every age group, every person. You like the science, the sci-fi stuff. There's a lot in there for you. You like the relationships. There's a lot of stuff in there for you. So it's kind of like, to me, this is clearly probably the best movie of the year. It's obviously early. We haven't seen a lot of we haven't actually seen a lot of movies come out, but I think it's a simple one, right? So it's like I saw it, happened to go out to a theater and saw it. I thought the sound was really, really good. I was unable to see it in IMAX, but people say, I think, like always, if you can see one of these movies in IMAX, if it's close by, give it a shot. I think it's like making its way. I don't know what it is. Like maybe they only have so many copies of it. Like it's going to come to Austin, but it wasn't available on the weekend. So again, I think this is a great movie. I think it's better if you don't know much about the movie or the book.
Sure.
And if you've read the book or or know anything about it, don't tell anyone. I think it's more fun just to go in and watch it. And I think if you don't like this movie, there's probably not a lot of hope for you. I don't know. Like there's just this is a movie. I think it's really impossible to dislike. So
what if you really dislike Ryan Gosling?
I think he does a great job. I'll even go so far as this. I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast before, but like this is a rare case of where I actually thought the movie was better than the book, because the book was written by the same person that wrote The Martian.
Andy Weir, yeah.
So I don't think, no spoilers in The Martian, but like I'm just gonna say he likes detail, like a lot of detail.
He does like detail,
and many people love the books because of that. I'm always like, I think we can move on. Let's move.
And the movie's not short, right? It's like 2.5 hours.
It's not short, but like it's sort of a nice. I think it's a nice edited version of of the story. I mean, there's some differences, but I thought it actually plays better. Whereas
I'll go catch it this weekend.
But if you are the person that like when this isn't too big a spoiler, so I'll say it this isn't for this movie, but for The Martian, like when he has to like decide to like grow potatoes. It's like, you could just say he figured out how to grow potatoes and move on, or you could spend like an entire chapter talking about how it's possible to grow potatoes on Mars. And it's like, you have to decide for yourself what you think is entertaining. And for me, I'm willing to accept in my fantasy sci-fi that like it is possible to grow potatoes on Mars, and you don't have to prove it to me scientifically. So that's maybe a way to think about, is the movie better for you or is the book better for you? So, all right. Well, with that, you've made it to the end of another fantastic episode of Software Defined Talk, a podcast that is impossible not to like, just like Project Hail Mary. So this has been episode 565.
Like the Ryan Gosling of podcasts.
That's right. If you'd like to see the show notes of all the topics we discussed and many we didn't, go to softwaredefinedtalk.com/565. There you can subscribe to all our social feeds. And if you are so inclined, we actually do have opportunities to sponsor the podcast. So feel free to reach out. I'll be happy to help you out. And with that, we will talk to you next time.
Bye.
All right, Matt. Well, we made it again. I don't know. The internet was bad to you today. I don't know. Maybe it's Restream. Maybe it's the internet.
Always Restream.
I always say this at the end of these episodes where things have not gone well on your end. It's like, next time you and I should just do it on Zoom and see if like, or something else, or we should do it on the platform that it works best for you.
But if we do it on Zoom, well, I guess you could dump
we could do the video later, but also it would just give us like a test. Like, is it, like, does it actually work? I
don't have Zoom interruptions. Mm-hmm. Like I only have Restream interruptions. And anytime I have internet problems, it's everything. And this is only just Restream.
Well, I don't know. We have to hate Restream. That's all we can do.
And maybe I need to buy some Ubiquity equipment, but Cote's not here. So.
That's right. Well, we didn't talk about it, but we should have said it's like here in the United States, as far as I can tell, they just prohibit us from buying any new routers ever. I don't think there's any routers because they said it has to be built in the United States. And I'm pretty sure people have looked and there are no internet routers. I don't even know if there's any network devices actually built in the United States, period.
Probably not unless they're on Kickstarter.
So we're in big trouble. So, all right. Well, listen, for everyone that's stayed with us during the stream, I appreciate it. Sorry for the internet outages. I guess we'll blame Restream, and hopefully in the future, Matt and I, one day we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to do it so that Matt doesn't get cut off. And with that, we'll talk to all the streamers next time.
Bye.